introduction to you is Fringe.
Yeah.
Tell me the origin story of POZ.
Okay, strap in. I got my HIV diagnosis about 10 years ago.
Right.
I'm gonna be an advocate, I'm gonna be a spokesperson, and my friends are like, okay, calm down. I'm gonna do with them, but I'm going to use this. It was also a way to make the rejections feel less hurtful, less painful. If you can kind of make peace with yourself, you can make peace with a lot of other parts of yourself as well, parts that maybe you hadn't made peace with before. And I remembered those screenshots, all those screenshots that I had taken. And I remembered everything that I'd said at the Candlelit ceremony on the bike rally. And suddenly just, it all flowed out of me. It just rushed out of me. And I wrote a 30-page script in 2.5 weeks. It was so cathartic getting all of that out. If it's not happening, do it yourself.
And what happened when you submitted your second draft?
I won.
Before we get into today's interview, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It helps us out so much, and it doesn't cost you a damn thing. So my introduction to you is Fringe.
Yeah.
Your Fringe show. Tell me the origin story of POZ.
Okay, strap in. I mean, basically, I got my HIV diagnosis about 10 years ago.
Right.
And needless to say, that wasn't a great experience. And I'm someone who's really I try to be really proactive. And I was like, I'm gonna turn this into somehow, I'm gonna make it a positive thing.
Hey, I see what you did there.
It's a bad joke. And
I love it.
And so I really just wanted to find a way to just make it not the most horrible thing that had ever happened to me.
Right.
And I remember day one, I was sitting there with my friends, I was on my friend's balcony, we were drinking copious amounts of wine, and I was like, I'm gonna be an advocate, I'm gonna be a spokesperson, and my friends are like, okay, calm down. I'm like,
relax, maybe take a minute.
You're really kind of creating big goals for yourself. I'm like, I have to, so I don't fall apart completely.
Fair.
And obviously, I didn't immediately become an advocate. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
But what I did start doing was, I'd be talking to guys online on dating apps, and I would disclose my HIV status to them, and I was getting rejected a lot. This is back in 2014. PrEP, which is a pill that stops people from getting HIV that they can take every day, wasn't really a common thing yet, so there was still a lot of fear around people with HIV and maybe hooking up with them. And I got a lot of rejections. And I started screenshotting all of the rejections, not to post it or to humiliate the person that rejected me. It had nothing to do with that. It was one day I'm gonna take these rejections and I'm gonna turn it into art. I'm gonna somehow, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but I'm going to use this. It was also a way to make the rejections feel less hurtful, less painful. If there was some kind of rhyme or reason behind it all. And then as time went on, I continued going through certain struggles around my status. But then in 2019, I joined the Friends for Life bike rally, which is a 6-day bike ride from Toronto to Montreal to raise money for the Toronto People with AIDS Foundation, which is the place that I had gone to when I first got my diagnosis. They hooked me up with a doctor, they got me a counselor, they got medication.
Nice.
Like they did everything for me when I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So I was always like, I owe them, I'm gonna pay them back. So finally, I'm not a cyclist. Just want to.
You weren't a cyclist before?
Preface that at all.
That's nuts.
I had not been on a bike since I was 10 years old, maybe.
What?
And so I signed up for this 6-day bike ride. You're doing 100 kilometers.
Insanity.
Every day. So I trained for 6 months to do this. Even when it started, I was not a great cyclist. I struggled.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
anyone who did the rally with me that first year can attest to.
That's hilarious.
But you know, it was one of those things where that you do, and you're like, I didn't realize what I was made of.
That's nice.
And it's just one of those moments that money can't buy, that nothing can get from unless you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so then I kept doing it. And while I did it, I worked through so many issues that I had surrounding my status. I fought a lot of demons. When you are biking for 100 kilometers every day, sometimes there's no one in front of you, there's no one behind you. You don't know if you've made a wrong turn.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm like, do you know you're okay?
It's 30 degrees. You're like, when's the next stop break? So it's just you and your mind.
Nah.
Just you and your brain, which is
For like
really
6 days.
yeah, which is really scary.
Yeah.
But also, if you can kind of make peace with yourself, you can make peace with a lot of other parts of yourself as well, parts that maybe you hadn't made peace with before. So oftentimes it would be me cycling and crying.
Yeah. That would be me.
You know?
Yeah.
Not always because of, you know, just because it's really hard.
Yeah.
But on day day 4. On day 4, there's something called the Candlelit ceremony. And anyone on the rally can speak in front of the whole rally. So that's about 250, sometimes 300 people. And you can speak about anything, but you can speak about your experience with HIV. You can speak about someone that you know who has HIV, someone that passed from AIDS. Lots of people speak about different things. And that first year, I think it was day 3, that I decided I was going to speak. I think it was maybe the day before. I was like, I'm going to say something. So I spent all of day 3 practicing and crying what I was going to say. And then that night on day 4, I told a group of 250 people that I had HIV. My friends knew, my family knew, not all of my family, but everyone kind of close to me knew, but I had never said it in front of like an audience, in front of a group of people, let alone 250, 300 people. And that did so much for me accepting myself as an HIV positive individual. It did so much just accepting myself in general.
Were you scared?
I was terrified.
Yeah.
I cannot. It's hard to even describe. I didn't know what order it was going to be in, and they called my name. I think I went 3rd, and I stood up and I went, "Fuck."
Yeah.
What did I?
Yeah.
Why?
Why did I say I would do this yesterday? Today's a new day and I say no. Yeah.
And I'm a performer, you know, I had it memorized. I knew my lines. But of course I get up there and I'm like, what am I saying? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I sit there and I had to take a couple breaths, and the co-chairs of the rally, they're both beside me, like rubbing my back. They give me a microphone.
Terrible.
And I think into the microphone I went, "Fuck." I think that was the first word that I said.
I love that.
And then I just started, I was like, "Hi, I'm Mark, I'm new." And because it was my first year, but also, you know, that was me saying like I feel new in front of all of you, and I feel like this is a new person that I am now being in front of you, someone who's open about my status, and finally I am that person that I wanted to be on that balcony that day that I found out. I can be that. I'm that spokesperson now. I can be that advocate. I am now that person. then I did the rally again, and I did the rally again, and each time I spoke at the Candlelit ceremony, and I started telling people about my experience on the rally, and then finally I decided that I was going to come out as HIV positive on my Instagram. And I wrote a big long post, and it was the exact same feeling of walking up to speak in front of all those people. I'm sitting there with my phone, my hands shaking, and all I'm doing is pressing. I should have started the post. I should have been like, fuck. And so I just had to press a button, but it took me hours. It took me hours.
Yeah, no kidding.
I kept like, getting ready and then throwing my phone.
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe now's not the right time. Yeah. It doesn't feel aligned.
Actually, I did put it off for a couple weeks.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I put it off for a year. I wanted to make the post a year earlier.
Nice. That's good to admit, I think, for a lot of people like listening and stuff. Just regular posting is hard enough. Yeah. Like putting yourself out there. Yeah. But that'd be extremely difficult. So good for you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And it's weird because, I hit post and then I'm just alone in my apartment, and there's no one's clapping.
No one's clapping.
And then the likes start coming in, the comments start coming in, and then I start crying because so many people were so supportive, and a lot of people knew, and then a lot of people that didn't know.
Yeah.
Lots of people that didn't know. So then it was the next year, and I always said, I was like, I want to turn this into a play. I want to turn this experience into a play. And I remember, I think it was 2017 that idea first popped into my head. I hadn't done the rally yet. I hadn't fully accepted, my status. I hadn't fully owned my status yet. So I remember starting to write it, not knowing where to go with it, because I had not worked through it at all. I had to get to a place where I could write about it in an honest way. And in 2017, that was 14, 15, 16, I'm really bad at math. I had to count on my fingers. It was 3 years after my I was not ready, 3 years after my diagnosis, to write a play about it. And also, I hadn't really gone through enough yet.
Yeah.
The material wasn't there.
Needed more material, more life experience.
We got 10 minutes worth of material here.
Fair enough.
So, after 10 years, I had enough material, finally. And I just remember, but I hadn't, I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know where to begin. And my friend sent me this post about the Toronto Fringe Best New Play competition. And she's this wonderful friend who always kind of sends me, kind of nudges me, like, to try and like inspire me to write. And so she sent it to me, I think it was my birthday, around my birthday. And I was like, yeah, this is a great goal. This is a great goal. I'm going to do this. And I see the deadline's in 3 weeks.
No pressure.
And I'm like, I'm going to do this. Okay.
10 years and 3 weeks.
I'm going to do this.
Let's go.
And so I put my laptop in front of me, and I remembered those screenshots, all those screenshots that I had taken. And I remembered everything that I'd said at the Candlelit ceremony on the bike rally. And suddenly just it all flowed out of me. It just rushed out of me. And I wrote a 30-page script in 2.5 weeks.
That's amazing.
And my friend Nick May, who is the director of POZ, who I've worked with before, I told him that I was doing this and I wanted to attach him to the project because I love working with him, and I sent him this script. We actually had a meeting before I even started writing it. He started asking me, well, what do you want to say? So I kind of had these little bullet points, but it wasn't really until the laptop was in front of me that it just like word
vomit.
And I finished it. I remember I woke up really early, 7 a.m. and I had maybe a few pages left to write, and I just wrote them all, and it was 8:30 in the morning, and I finished it, and I sat back and I cried for half an hour.
Wow.
Just non-stop crying. It was so cathartic. getting all of that out. And we met, we read it. I think this was the day before it was due. I did one more draft and I submitted it.
That is nuts.
So it was a second draft that I submitted.
I love. And what happened when you submitted your second draft?
I won.
I won. That's amazing.
Which I was not expecting at all.
That is so cool.
I used it as a way to just get started.
Yeah.
And just have something. I remember I even met up with a friend to read through it. And I had already done another draft before I found out that I won. Because I wasn't expecting, because I had also submitted it for the lottery.
Right.
Because I did not expect to win. I remember I was going to work and I was on the subway platform and I got the email that I had won and my subway arrived and the doors open and again crying. I'm just always like, I'm not just always crying.
No, I
promise.
Too happy, too sad, crying.
I promise I'm not just always crying. But then I get on the subway, just imagine there's this like crying 6'1" man just coming on the subway, just crying, but just sitting down, like just going about his day, just crying.
So hilarious.
Because I just, in a million years, did I think that that my story would mean something to anyone else. You know, you never think that. And it did, and I think that's what got me the most at this kind of panel. It's hard to describe that feeling.
That's amazing.
But it was really wonderful.
That's
so
incredible.
It won.
So you won.
I won.
And so if you win that, do you automatically get into Fringe?
Yeah.
I was like, they'd be stupid not to, right?
So it's an automatic in. It's a free in as well.
Ooh, amazing. Yeah,
because the Fringe, you do have to pay around $800 if you get chosen.
Okay.
And then also like a little bursary as well, and yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh well, fuck.
Title of this podcast. Fuck.
Now I have to do it.
Oh my god.
In front of an audience.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Did it get easier doing it in front of an audience because you've done it on Instagram and in front of at the Candlelit ceremonies, or is it a different kind of hard?
It was completely different.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, just talking about crying, I didn't cry. I wasn't a crier. I was so
locked it down.
Yeah. Just kept it all in. Mm-hmm. You know, British mother. You know, you don't cry, stiff upper lip. And it wasn't until the rally that I really, you know, when I say that I cried while biking all day, that really opened me up, and then just boom, crying all the time. But in terms of that, like, so speaking in front of the Candlelit ceremony and crying, I knew a lot of them. I had met a lot of them. There were a lot that I didn't know, but they were all there for this cause, and they were all there to support people with HIV and AIDS. So I knew it was this safe space.
Yes.
And so when I posted on Instagram, that was me trying to take the safe space of the rally outside of the rally, and trying to find that for myself, even in social media. So transferring that to Instagram was one thing. Transferring that safe space into a theater of people that I don't know.
Yeah.
At all, that have just bought a ticket.
Yeah.
The hope is that they've bought a ticket because they want to hear my story.
Yes.
You know, and I think that is why they would buy a ticket. But I really thought that first night I was going to look out in the audience and just see my friends and people that I know. That first night, I looked out in the audience and I knew 2 people.
Nuts.
And it threw me off. The first performance, People say, I had some friends, but they were up at the top and I couldn't see them. And they all said it was fine. They said it was great. I thought it was horrible.
Really?
Because rehearsing it was one thing. I almost wish that I had brought some more people in and kind of done like a mini performance of it before that first
like a little preview.
Yeah, because it was almost just like being like, you know, unleashed to the wolves.
Yeah.
Set out to the wolves.
Hi, here's my life. Hope you like it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And I say that it's a mostly true story for legal purposes. But it's all true.
We won't tell anyone.
And so, you know, just getting out there and just bearing your fucking soul.
Yeah.
Everyone was looking at me with such kindness and such empathy. And it was really incredible because every performance, the audience was really listening. And that made a huge difference. I could cry.
Yeah, the amount of times I cried watching it.
Well, because
Jesus! I went in, I actually didn't know what it was about.
Okay.
I went in blind.
Yeah.
And went in and was watching, and I was going by myself to all these shows. I was doing like reviews of shows and whatnot. And I'm sitting like dead center. And I'm like trying to look around to be like, are other people crying? Is it just me? I'm like losing it. I'm like this woman by herself in the middle of an audience, just like, oh my God. It was so good. So yeah, I understand the crying all the time. I was crying all the time.
I could hear it. And I could see it because I talked to the audience.
Gosh,
and I would see people, you know, like, and I'd be like, guys, stop. Like,
would it make you cry?
Well, because...
Is there any time that you looked and you saw like somebody you knew, or you're just like, man, I'm losing it?
Yes. And I can tell you exactly, because because of, you know, what I mentioned, and I'm kind of following the trajectory of my life in the piece. Mm-hmm. The piece is very methodically kind of mapped out. To reflect my journey on the bike rally, because it follows the journey from day 1 to day 6 on the bike rally, but it also follows the order from diagnosis to kind of to that night, really, in front of the audience. Mm-hmm. I talk about coming out, you know, online and everything, but it also followed the fact that I didn't cry until the rally. And so kind of the big moment at the end, there's a really big cathartic moment at the end where I finally do kind of let it all out. Mm-hmm. And so it's that moment that I cry. So I can't really cry until that moment. So when I look out and I see people crying, I'm like, guys, cool it. But there's a moment at the end where it's right at the end. I say this one line, and it's the mantra of the show. It's the through line of the show. And I say it 3 times, and each show I would look in the same spots to say that line right before the lights go down. Mm. And my sister was in the audience, and so at the end I'm saying this line. It's supposed to be, I'm at peace, I've come to terms with everything. You know, it's this calm, beautiful, inspiring moment.
Oh my gosh.
And the line is, and I don't think I'm ruining anything saying the line, I say it through the whole show, this is just what you do now. Mm. And it was the mantra of me going through the rally. It's how I got through the rally, and now it's kind of just how I get through life. And I look out to that first spot, and it's my sister, and she is sobbing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever seen my sister cry, really.
Oh my God.
Or, you know, if I do, I don't remember. So I go out, I'm supposed to say this inspiring, lovely line, and my sister's right in the spot that I deliver the first one to, and I go, this is just what you do now. And I'm like, Mark, get it together. Get it together.
Oh my gosh. I'd be like, you bitch.
I saw her afterwards and I'm like, you ruined that. No, I didn't.
You ruined my whole show.
You ruined the whole show.
Oh my God.
I got it together by the middle person. Quickly, I'm a professional. I went to theater school.
I love it.
But yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. Sister, older or younger?
Older.
Yeah, they never cry, do they?
No.
I have an older sister too.
Yeah, and quite a bit older too. So,
yeah? How big of a gap?
Oh my God, I want to say like almost 10 years.
Oh, okay, mine's 5.
I have a big family.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. Where do you fall in order of children?
Second youngest.
Heyo. And how do dead. And how many siblings?
5.
5. Oh, yeah. You beat me by 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. I have 3 siblings. There's 4 of us. There's 6 of you.
Yes.
Okay. We're both really good at math today.
You just gotta count on your fingers.
Yeah, there was. You went to theater school. Did you have a background in writing at all before this?
So I've never been like formally trained in writing.
Clearly, that's fine.
Yeah. I've just always done it.
Nice.
In high school, there was no school play, so I wrote one.
Oh my God, I love that.
Because they weren't going to get the rights to anything. Like there was no play.
Yeah.
So I wrote a play, and somehow, the drama, Mrs. Danzo, my drama teacher.
Shout out, drama teacher.
Yeah. She was like kind of my first real huge like supporter. And she somehow convinced the school to like let me put it on for
That's
the
amazing.
school. I don't know if we did it 1 or 2 nights, but like the whole school and like parents and stuff came, like they had it as a night.
Wow.
And it was this really dark like play. Oh my God. It was.
If anybody has footage of this, we'd love to see it.
God, please get me that footage. We entered into the Sears Festival.
Nice.
And I think I won a bunch of awards.
You're just winning all around.
I've always been winning awards.
Ayo.
When am I not winning awards?
Love it.
and so and then the next year they created like a whole night out of it. So I wrote another show, and then there was like dance performances, and I've heard that ever since, because then I left the high school the next year, ever since they've done a play every single year.
That's amazing.
I also I teach kids, and I found out last week one girl goes to this high school that I went to, and she was like, oh yeah, we're doing the school play, and I was like,
stop.
I love that. So, if it's not happening, do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that is a huge lesson that I've learned as an artist after theater school, that I learned in high school.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That I kind of wish that I had remembered because I kind of relearned that kind of a few years ago. If you want it to happen, you got to do it yourself. You got to make it yourself. So, what was the question?
I don't remember. I'm just amazed. I'm like, I wish I was proactive in fucking high school. I'm sitting here like, that was an option? Like, of course it's an option.
But writing. So.
Oh yeah, did you write before? That was there. Sorry.
That was it. And then, in university, we had some, we had to kind of write our big project in last year of university. I went to York. I was in the acting conservatory at York.
Nice.
And we had to do a kind of character creation. We had to create the scene. We had to write it ourselves. And
you were like, no problem.
Yeah, well, I wrote it, and it was really good. I didn't do anything with it, but and then I just kind of kept sort of writing my own things and not showing them to anyone. But I just kept up the practice of writing, which I think is kind of the most important part.
Yeah.
And then I worked on creating this TV series with my friend Champagne, drag queen, and that ended up getting made, and it's now on Out TV and AMI, and that was a huge kind of learning curve for my writing. That was 2-3 years ago. And just being, there was sort of this boot camp. We took all the episodes and there were 11 story editors on the show. And so, and I was getting notes from all 11 of them. And those notes were incredible. And they really made the series kind of what it is. And I love that series. It's really near and dear to my heart. But kind of all of that kind of helped me when I needed to bang out a script in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you're already had the...
Well, because I had to, like, with the series, Womb Envy, with all those notes, I had like a week turnaround. I had to take their notes, apply them, and then send it back in, and then it had to be locked, and it would have to send to the networks, and they would have to approve it.
Right.
And then, or send it back with more notes, and so it was I had to be really quick. I had to write quickly.
Yeah.
So that helped.
Were there ever notes that you got where you were like, not gonna do that?
100%.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky because the series, when we did get a producer on board, Charlie David with Border to Border Entertainment, he really helped get the series made. And but it all happened when I was sort of in my mid-30s. I think if I had been younger, or I think if I hadn't had the experience that I had and really kind of believed in my writing, I probably would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll change anything. I'll change anything you want. But at that point, and at that maturity that I had kind of reached, I was okay saying to a network executive, no, I think this joke is funny and I want to keep it.
Nice.
Or no, I really think that this is important to the character and I want to keep this in. And then sometimes you lose. But a lot of the time, things that I was really kind of like, no, I want this in.
Yeah.
They would keep it in, and it would work out really well.
Nice.
So, but I kind of knew what to fight for, and what, as long as you're kind of seeing where they're coming from, you're like, oh right, okay, maybe that doesn't work. I think that's really important, to keep an open mind and not just be like, everything I write is the best and I'm hilarious and nothing should be changed.
Fair. I guess.
But if there's something that I was like, no, I think this is really good, then fight for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was such a great experience because they were all so supportive as well. Basically, we had, all the story editors. It was for every character that wasn't, a white, cis, gay male. And I was so lucky that I got to hear from people that had the lived experience of the characters that I was writing, and got that kind of feedback to make it as honest and as real as possible. So I really thank all those voices for making it a million times better.
So the future of POZ.
Yes.
POZ is making a comeback.
It is.
Tell me everything.
Super excited. I knew I wanted to bring it back. We were in one of the smaller theaters for Fringe. So there were a lot of people that didn't get to see it.
Were all your shows sold out?
Every single one.
Yes.
And they sold out after opening.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So is that just word of mouth sold out?
So we were the first show of Fringe last year in 2024. It was, we were the 4 p.m. I think slot. It was the first show on the schedule of like the whole festival.
Damn.
And so Joshua Chong from the Toronto Star critic, came to see that show. The one that I was sweating profusely and forgot half my lines in the first half.
No way.
The one that I thought was the worst one. And he gave it a really good review. And it was one of the critics' picks of the Toronto Fringe. And that review came out the next day. And we sold out a couple hours after that review.
Wow.
I think also
Ooh,
just...
I got chills. Ooh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. We had already sold a lot of seats because, having like Best New Play contest winner was really great. Some people...
you really had everything going for you.
Yeah.
Guess I did.
I mean, at least
That's
people seem to enjoy it. It would have been really bad if I had all that going for me and people come out and they're like, that was terrible.
That's fair. Yeah, no, everybody left being like, wow. Yeah. Very well deserved.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, but so all the tickets were gone. But, okay, not to...
Toot your horn.
Then we won Patron's Pick.
What else?
And I won a Pulitzer. And an Oscar.
I love it.
No, not yet.
To be, I was like, it's coming.
So we won Patron's Pick, so we got an extra performance at the end of the festival.
Nice.
So we posted that we won, and that show sold out in an hour.
That's amazing.
So I was like, I think there's an audience for this show.
It appears. People want to see it. That's amazing.
They want to see me on the stage.
Finally, my moment has come. I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I my theater inspiration, my theater idol, Daniel McIver. I ran into him at an event, and he came up to me and said, "Congratulations on the success of POZ. You have to remount it so that I can come see it."
Wow.
Because he had only heard about it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if this Canadian queer writer that I've looked up to since I was a teenager asks me to remount the show,
You do it.
I have to remount the show.
It's a no-brainer, really.
But the hard part is, I don't got no money.
Yeah. We feel that.
How do you go about? I've never produced a show before.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that with no money and no producer experience?
Yeah.
But I knew that I had to do it, and so the main thing is the finances, the financial support to do this. So we started reaching out to some companies that we thought would be really good partners for what this show is trying to achieve, what this show is trying to do with education and awareness. So we went after some companies that we thought might, the values would align. And there is this company, PrEP provider, PrEP, the pill that prevents you from getting HIV. This company called Freddie. We approached them, told them about the show, and wondered if they might want to partner with us, and they said yes.
Amazing.
And because of them, I keep shouting Freddie. They haven't asked me to do
They haven't asked, but I will. Thank you.
Freddie.com, maybe. Look it up.
Check them out.
Should have done my research. Should have been prepared. You're gonna get a call from them being like, it's not Freddie.com.
It's .ca. It'll be in the link below. It'll be linked below in the bio.
Yes, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll be posting about them a lot. But I mean, the reason that I bring it up is I had this amazing Zoom meeting with them, and then a week later, they said, we're on board. And then I cried.
Yes.
And I texted my friends. And I was like, well, the first cry of this part of it just happened. crying.
Guess who's crying?
They're like,
send a picture.
Congrats on the crying.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So because of them, I was able to, rent a really beautiful theater. It's the Aki Studio in the Native Earth Performing Arts Center, the Daniel Spectrum's building.
Nice.
And April 22nd to 27th, POZ is coming back.
Oh my gosh, so excited.
Yeah.
Have you made any changes to it at all? Or are we just bringing it back?
Before coming here, I was working on the script all this morning because our first rehearsal back is this Sunday. And Fringe, there was an hour time limit. I could not go past an hour. They're super strict about that. They have to be, just to keep it all on schedule.
Yeah.
But now it can be over an hour. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I cut out that I'm putting back in. I don't want to change it too much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Fair.
And I think it's got this really wonderful flow, but there's certain things in it that I really, really loved and I had to cut for time. And so I'm really excited to put that back in. I'm also really excited that now we can do like a talk back afterwards.
Ooh.
So there's going to be a talk back on the Thursday night performance, and then I think maybe one on the Friday and the Saturday, I'm not sure. One of those nights or both. And so someone's going to come in that's in kind of the HIV sphere, if you will, the HIV, working with HIV/AIDS community. And so we get to have a talk afterwards with whoever comes in, and
Nice.
The audience can ask questions. And that's really kind of why I wanted to do this, because I found there was a huge gap in media surrounding HIV and AIDS, that there was nothing out there about what HIV looks like now.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff about the 80s and 90s, which is really important. We can't forget
where we've come from.
How awful it was.
Yeah.
But also, people need to be updated.
Yes. Yeah.
That this is what an HIV positive person looks like now. And that it's not a death sentence anymore. That I am undetectable. Which means that I'm on medication. That means there's no way that I can pass it on through sex. There's PrEP. There's so many things that people need to know about because they don't.
Yeah.
I know a lot of queer people do, but a lot of straight people just have no idea.
No freaking clue.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do this. So being able to do a talk back afterwards and kind of reaching a bigger audience is really amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to come see.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about the Raw Actor Studio writing challenge thing that you did. That was a short, it was like create a play in a weekend or something?
Yeah,
like how long was it and what was it like?
Yeah, so the King Black Box Theater, there was this 24-hour play festival. And I was doing with the kids program that I work with, I was doing all the kids shows, and then I think it was like the next day. And I was like, oh my God, do I really want to do this like 24-hour festival after doing like 16 kids shows in 7 days? Yes, I do.
Hilarious.
Because it's those kinds of, and this is what I'll say to any kind of writers that are out there. Practicing the craft of writing and getting the habit of writing, finding these things to do that will force you to write.
Yeah, give you that deadline.
Is the most important thing. Exactly, a deadline. And so I showed up at the theater. I applied, and so they contacted me to be a part of it, and went to the theater at 5 p.m. We were given one line of dialogue that had to be in it, and 2 props that had to be used. I thought they were going to be like, here's like a prompt or a genre or something, but that was it.
They just let you run wild.
So the 5 of us, 5 writers, were there, and I was like, fuck. What
So many ways that I could go right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The line was, my therapist says I should write my own eulogy. Ziggy, who is I think artistic director there, gave us that line.
Nuts, my own eulogy.
Yeah, and so
could be dark, could be funny.
Yeah, and so I did both.
Excellent.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, what do I have to write about? Like what's here?
Right. Hello.
What's there? And the first thing that kind of came to my head was how depressed I was.
'Tis winter.
I mean, it was the beginning of November. I had kind of just come out of like Trump being elected. Sent me in this really bad space.
Yeah.
Just the fact that someone like that could be elected again, and we don't need to get in that, but that that hopeless feeling, that is what I had to write about, because that's another thing that I would kind of say to any writers. What do you have to say? What's in here? Where can you hit the tap and just let it flow?
Yes.
And so that's what the tap was flowing, was how utterly depressed I felt, and kind of how I came out of that. And so I started writing this play about this guy who decides to give up and on life. No thoughts of self-harm or anything like that. It makes that very clear. Just he's just going to be on the couch. He's just going to be on the couch, and that's it. And he's given up, and he's not going to go to work. He's just going to rot away on the couch because life has just gotten too hard. And his roommate comes home, who is the opposite of that, who is this amazing, bubbly person, and the whole play is her trying to pull him out of this extreme state of apathy. And also, she ends up calling his ex-boyfriend to come over and help. And I had this conversation with my ex-boyfriend about a week before, which I ended up putting into the play.
Wow, nice.
And I had done the same thing with POZ. I put all those I put those screenshots into the play. There were 2 scenes with my ex-boyfriends in the play.
Yeah.
The first one with the guy who has HIV. That whole conversation was created from texts that we had exchanged, and the other one was a scene that actually happened in real life. So I take a lot kind of from my real life, if it's theatrical enough.
Yeah, well, write what you know, right? They always say that.
And I don't know how to write fiction. I'm bad at writing fiction, so it's just me in every character.
I love it. Well, it's been working out.
Yeah, so far. So I started writing that. It's called I'm Giving Up, but it was so intense because, all the other writers were kind of eyeing each other, like, who's writing? And, what are you writing about? And we kind of stopped and we're like, what's yours about? And someone was very secretive and didn't say. And I think the first person left around 11:30. Next person left around 12:30. I left at around 2 a.m. I heard that the next person left around 3 or 4, and then one person stayed all night.
Wow.
And I went home and I had sort of finished it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sleep for 3 hours. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep writing. I slept for 45 minutes.
Wow.
Kept writing because we had to be back there for 10 a.m.
Sheesh.
And so, it's 9:30. I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay, I'm showering. I'm getting on the different bus. I'm writing on the bus. There was this beautiful monologue that I wrote on the bus because I had to have 4 characters in it. Nice. And so we get there, and she Ziggy was like, okay, we got to start printing them, and like a whole bunch of us just like one more pass, and then they were printed, and then 5 directors came in the room, and we
did
had.
Did they tell you how long it had to be? Like how many pages?
Yeah, we did have. We were aiming for a certain page amount. None of us hit it.
Oh, amazing!
But all of our shows were about, I want to say, 30 to 40 minutes.
Wow.
And I think we were kind of aiming for 45. But yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah, none of us hit that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like I like the room of like to like there's nothing worse than like writing it out and then you're like I still have so much to put in and your limit is this much, but
I have nothing left.
Yeah. It's like
this is
the
it.
flip side of the problem.
This is what you're getting.
Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then 5 directors come in.
They come in at 11 a.m. All of us, one person has not slept at all. I think the rest of us maybe half an hour. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
I remember just screaming at all of them. So we're pitching our show, and sort of we do like speed dating. So all the directors went around, we pitched them our show, and then we are sent away. And
that's it.
And that's it.
And that's it for your writing part.
And then we came back the next day to see the show.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So when we left, the directors, they all talked about which show they wanted to do. And Adam Marley, he got mine. Amazing director. And then the actors showed up, I think an hour later, and then they just start rehearsal.
Wow.
And they had like a couple hours in the space, and then they would kind of rehearse on their own somewhere. And then the shows started at like 6 p.m. the next day. And they did all the shows that night. And mine was last. So I had to kind of wait through everyone else's. And it was, I always said to myself, that I was like, this is the funniest thing that I've ever written. It was very topical. It was very, things that had happened like last week I put in. Jokes that were, very of the moment. There's a whole section about TikTok, which is now cut out, but the audience was laughing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then listening when they were meant to, but Adam made it funnier than I even knew it was. He made it better than I knew it was, and so it was this really wonderful. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but
collaboration.
The vibes. Collaboration. But from the fact that we didn't even speak, like he kind of took the script and then that was it. And it was kind of the first time that I'd really written something and then stepped away from it completely. Usually I'm I'm either in it or I'm involved in casting or I'm there, like Womb Envy, my series, I was there every single day.
Yeah.
So the director could always kind of come to me for line changes or anything, notes. But this, I just kind of was like, oh, okay, here's my baby.
Yeah.
Don't kill it. It's young. It's fresh. Vulnerable, soft. So.
Oh, I'm dead. That's hilarious.
And he nourished it. I was about to say suckled. And made it a fully grown adult kind of by the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then we all went out for drinks afterwards, and the actors were incredible as well. They were amazing. They were amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was very text heavy. That's what I do. I write dialogue.
Yeah.
And they memorized it.
Yeah, that's nuts.
In 24 hours.
Yeah,
it was insane.
That's a lot. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then afterwards, we're all having drinks, and Adam goes, "I want to turn this into a short film," because he's mostly a film director. And I went, "Yeah, okay, cool, for sure."
Right.
Yeah, we'll make it into a short film.
And then you never talk again.
Then 2 days later, he goes, "Hey, so I was serious."
That wasn't just the drinks.
Yeah.
And
like,
the moment?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So it's happening.
We're shooting in a few weeks. We're shooting in a few weeks.
No way.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
We got together for a drink, I think a week later, and started talking about turning into a film. And we did some casting as well. And and now we've got a shoot date, and one of the actors is flying in from New York to shoot it.
Well, excuse me.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Spencer.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah, but I had no idea that just signing up for this crazy 24-hour festival idea would lead to shooting something.
Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
that is so exciting.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to promote or talk about that I didn't ask you about?
I think. I just shot a short film. Oh my God, with my best friend in the whole entire world. Oh, this is something else that I think is great and really, really, really important in this business, especially when if you want to do something, you got to make it yourself.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have my best friend who I've known. Oh my God, for 20 years, is an actress in Vancouver. And also is now has moved into directing and writing as well. And she's sort of we call each other our creative soulmates. And I call her my kind of creative collaborator as well. If I write anything, I send it to her. If she writes anything, she sends it to me. And so we kind of give each other notes before we give it to anyone else. I didn't have time to send the 24-hour play one to her, but then we did end up reading it together, and I made some changes because I had to edit it down to make it a short film under 20 minutes. Yeah. And she helped me with that, and so having like one person who we have this exact same sense of humor. We watch the same shows. That's another really important thing I think for writers. Watch TV. Watch good TV. Mm-hmm. Hear voices that are out there of stuff that's getting made. So we have the same kind of artistic sensibilities, and so we show each other everything. And she made a short film. She entered into a competition here in Toronto and ended up winning. She wins awards too. She does. I'm only friends with winners. Sorry, it's not true. I love that. It's hilarious. You could be a friend, my friend, and not have won anything. I guess. We'll allow it. Once. And you better win something. Within that year, actually, you have to have won an award. I mean, just show me your soccer trophy or something from grade 1. T-ball. Maybe we can be friends. So she won Best Comedy, and the prize was all the equipment to shoot your next short. Here in Toronto, though. So she's from Vancouver. Nice. So she was like, want to make something? So we wrote a script together, and we just kind of wrote it over Zoom together. I'd write something, she'd write something, we'd come together. But luckily, if you read the script, you would not be able to tell who wrote what, because our voices are so similar, and we know how to work together. It was our first time working together. Oh, amazing. But because she had kind of been that creative soulmate, it was so easy to collaborate together finally on something. So I do recommend any writer to find that person and show each other your stuff. So she came here and we shot the short in December, and so now we're going to be putting it out to film festivals. It's done now. It's called So Happy For You. So I'll be posting more about that as well, and we'll be definitely putting that into hopefully the Inside Out Festival for next year. Yeah, so that's amazing. That is so cool. Yeah, work with your best friends. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Mm-hmm. I'll finish up with 2 final questions. Yeah. Get ready. Get ready. Brace yourself. This is where you set me up.
That's right. Surprise.
2009, you.
I wanted to ask you if you could tell your younger self anything, what would you tell your younger self?
I think I already answered it.
I think so too.
Because it was that kid in high school that wrote a play and was bold enough to put it on in front of the whole school and parents and the community when he was 17. You know, that kid, I wish I'd been like, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets at all. But if I'd been like, keep doing that, because that's what you're going to end up doing anyways.
Yeah.
Because I went to theater school and it was wonderful. I had the best time at York. It was an incredible program. But I got into the mindset of getting an agent and auditioning is how I'm going to work.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was just in audition hell. You know, I was a queer actor in the mid-2000s when gay people just weren't cast, gay people weren't in anything. And I hated trying to pass for straight. And so I spent a long time kind of toiling in that world.
Yeah.
Until I kind of got to this point where I was like, okay, fuck it. You know, I'm gonna leave my agency. I was with characters, and they were great, but it just wasn't happening that way for me. So I left the agency and I started just kind of doing queer things. Kitchen Party Nervous Breakdown was kind of one of the first things I did with Sky Gilbert, who's an amazing queer director in Toronto, and I started kind of on that path, and then, you know, started collaborating with Champagne and started writing that TV show. That show took 8 years to make, but
wow.
You know, kept at it. So, you know, I think it took me sort of toiling in that world to be like, oh, this isn't how I'm going to work in the arts. It's going to be what I did in high school. It's going to be what I had already been doing since being a kid. I mean, I would put on plays for my parents. I think a lot of theater kids did this, but they were terrible. And I charged money.
Yes.
It was like 50 cents a show.
Amazing.
I think I didn't end up charging cookies. No. Oh my God. I took the cookies from the kitchen pantry and resold them.
Yes.
For concession snacks.
That's amazing.
For the place.
They're like, we have to buy these twice? What are you talking about?
And they did it.
Of course
like,
they did.
What are you going to do with 50 cents?
Right? That's amazing.
Back in the day, you could buy a loaf of bread with 50 cents. But, you know, it really was. It was like, I'd go back and I'd be like, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, buddy.
Yeah.
Because it's what you're going to be doing, you know, when you're 40.
Like, yeah, that's the secret. That's the key.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think that 17-year-old is proud of what you're doing now?
Oh, no, stop.
I think he is.
Oh, that's because for a long time I would have said no. And I think now I'm in a place where I can say yes.
Are we both gonna cry?
Yeah, and that came from a lot of other things. You know, I go up and down with how much I believe in myself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think a lot of people do. But I think doing the show POZ, you know, after that run, after doing that, it's like this is what that kid always wanted to do. You know, write his own stuff and be on stage, and so, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that
It's just so full circle.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So good. And my last question for you is, if you could give this chapter in your life a title, what would you title it? Fuck.
You know, it has to be that line from the show that my friend, I said to this guy, I didn't know him. He was doing the rally. He was on my team for the bike rally. I didn't know him, and I remember I turned to him at a team social, and I was like, "How do you bike for 6 days? How do you do that?" And he goes, "Well, you just say, 'This is just what I do now.' And you say that until you don't have to say it anymore." So I think the title of this chapter in my life is "This is just what I do now."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that mantra. It's a fantastic
because,
mantra.
you know, even when things are shit, this is just what I do now. And you say that until you don't have to say it anymore.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's, this is just what I do now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I like that.
You know?
Crying. This is just what I do now.
This is just what I do now.
So true.
Yeah.
I love. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
For coming on the podcast and chatting. This is a fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
And tell the people one more time where they can go see POZ this spring.
April 22nd to 27th. You can follow Theater Top Coast. That's T-O-P. I can't spell. I'm not good at math, but I can spell. T-O-P-I-K-O-S. But also kellerlikehelen is my Instagram. But yes, POZ at the Aki Studio, April 22nd to 27th. I think tickets will be on sale on their website. Native Earth Performing Arts Center. I think maybe next week, in 2 weeks or so.
Amazing.
Sale now.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Was so good.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yay. Thank you. Let's hug.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. If you haven't, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next interview.